Yosh. Alright, Myro. You magical monkey. Let's get the chi flowing, shall we? It's a Thor's Day. The day of Thor. It's just me as Thor's hammer a bit small. It's a tiny hammer. Someone is always smashing things. He's just angry because he has a tiny hammer. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo goo goo. It's painting fucking goo. It's painting goo. Painting goo. It's painting goo. What will we goo? Nobody knew. What do we goo? Painting goo. Sip rant goo. Paint rant sip. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo goo goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Ah, yes, my chi is beginning to flow. Painting goo goo goo. It's painting fucking goo. It's painting goo. Painting goo. It's painting goo. What will we goo? Nobody do. What do we goo? Painting goo. Painting goo. Painting goo. Right. Let's bring it home, Myro. You marvelous magical monkey. Let us remind these mortals of beauty. Painting goo. 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 Painting goo. So me boss said. Painting goo 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 goo. Paint, sip, rant, goo, goo. Painting goo goo goo. It's painting feckin' goo. It's painting goo. Painting goo. Painting goo. Painting goo. Painting goo. Painting goo. Goo goo goo. Goo 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 goo. Painting goo. Goo 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 goo. That's it, Myro. Bring it home. Remind these filthy mortals of the meaning of beauty and honor. Painting goo. Painting goo. Painting goo. Painting goo. Goo 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 goo. Such beautiful music. Brought to you by our very own petrified primate, Myro the magical monkey. And if you filthy mortals had any honor, you would pay the monkey so he doesn't go hungry. Right. Greetings, my beloved Japonaita, and welcome to another glorious episode of Paintingu with me, your illustrious demi-divine host, Defenderu-sama, demigod of Paintingu. Today, on this fine, semi-grey Thursday, we return to Kazakhstan, where Tinkerbell is sharpening one of her many weapons to take on a baby kraken that has emerged from this beautiful rake. But, of course, first things first, I must descend into proper Paintingu posture. I love a smooth stool. It just gets me in the mood. A smooth stool just gets my chi flowing. It is an indication that the chi is flowing freely, steadily. I will probably be very sad in the winter when it sticks and it's stiff. A stiff stool, a stiff throw stool, can quite often be an indicator of blockages in your chi, and it can sometimes be an omen of things to come. But we will deal with that when we get there. We will cross that bridge when we come upon said bridge. Today, and for the moment, we will paint this goo. We shall indulge ourselves in the reminding of the good, the true, and the beautiful. Glorious. Right, who has honor this day? Margie Mayu. Sabru-sama. Ian Gananu. Max Stoutborough. Desmondo-sama. Glorious, glorious. I too, Margie, hope you are all having a glorious day. How is everyone? Are you well? Is the transition from spring to summer going well for some of you? How is the weather in your region? Do you get proper weather, unlike me, on this island? On the Emerald Isle. Beautiful, serene, peaceful, and populated by people who love complaining about the weather despite the rack of weather. Proper weather. Rant. Raint Gant Poo. What's that? A painting show for babies? Perhaps one day there will be a alternative version of Paintingu for the children. But I am too crass, and my fro is far too adult for the kiddies. Perhaps one day I shall train myself to be less real and bitter. To do Paintingu for children would be a great honor, but I do believe that the potential for me to scar them would probably be too high. My fro would not be as froful. It would take too long for me to... I would have to write scriptu or something, perhaps. Perhaps in the future it would. I have said this before, it would be glorious. It would be glorious to do Paintingu for children. To mold the minds of the youth into a good, true, and beautiful stance. No doubt there would be many obstacles in my way. There would be many people who would abhor someone like me becoming famous amongst the children, because I would not sell them shit and tear them rise and brainwash them into some sort of secular new normal and shit like that. And then, of course, there is the occasional cursing. I say occasional is very frequent. Stabberoo does indeed get it, despite being Canadian. He does indeed get it. No, it is a painting show for those with honor and a strong chi. Indeed, indeed. Metamercure? Metamercure, keep the stew smooth. A good metabolism. A good metabolism. Plenty of water. You must lubricate your insider. I am sore, but quite well. Why are you sore, Desmondo-sama? Have you been being gay again? I'm tired. It rained much at my home yesterday, but I was in Nashville and no rain there. Ah, so you dodged the rain. You know, despite being an elder female, your ability to dodge things is quite... Well, you didn't dodge the piano, I suppose. How is the eye? Is it brack yet? It's been raining here for days now, on and off. Still very warm. Still very warm. Would Kindergoo involve finger paints? Kindergoo? Oh my god, brilliant. Kindergoo. Oh fuck me, that'd be amazing. If I could do a painting show for kids as a Nazi general, it would be the funniest fucking thing ever. Hallo meine Lieben, willkommen auf Malerei. Und jetzt, wir machen einen Guss. Oh, that would bring me so much joy. I would constantly be wearing these shades. Or something like the Morpheus things. I'd constantly just be wearing something like this. I'd just be like smiling and shit. Hallo, meine Lieben! Und willkommen auf Kindergoo! Like... Jeden Tag wir machen ein Guss. Schnell! Oh god, that'd be fucking brilliant. One day, when I have the money to get myself a decent Nazi general costume, or even just like a fucking, you know, basic Nazi uniform or something, like, you know, it doesn't have to be like really extravagant or whatever. Just like the swastika red strap, you know, like some like epaulets or something, and like the cross, the Templar cross or whatever they called it, like the black cross. And I probably would wear the shades and just slick my hair back constantly. Although it would be funny to paint it while wearing a helmet. Like full chin strap, the whole lot, like, do you know what I mean? Like, or if I had a Car 98K on my shoulder the whole time, like, to keep moving it out of the way. Oh man, that'd be brilliant. It would give me an excuse to brush up on my German as well. I like speaking German. It's a fucking fantastic language. Especially when you're like high pitched and like, you know, it's so funny. Like, that would be brilliant. It's like, how funny is that? That's something I've spoken about, like, you know, every so often. It's like, for a wrong timer, it has been dream of mine to do PEINTEINGU auf Deutsch. It's so fucking funny. I think, like, out of all the ones that I can think of, I think that would be the funniest. Like, obviously you could do, like, loads of different things. Like, you could do it, like, dressed as an Egyptian pharaoh and try and do it in Egyptian and all this shit. Like, it'd be loads of different, like, the theme of the different, like, PEINTEINGU in different languages from different countries would be fucking hilarious. But I personally think that the German one would be the funniest. Like the Japanese one, and I actually think that Chinese and German would probably be, if I had a rice paddy hat and I like, fucking got like a fake Fu Manchu mustache or something, like, and like tried to keep my eyes like this constantly. Um, Maybe like a pair of like fake buck teeth. Like, hello, welcome to PEINTEINGU. Like really lean into the whole like the American propaganda version of a Chinese guy, like, like the Western propaganda version of a Chinese guy, like, hello, Guilo, and welcome to PEINTEINGU. What can I paint for you today? Fucking brilliant, like every episode is just me painting a dragon eating noodles. Like, ah, welcome, Guilo. So you have come to watch me paint dragon eating noodle? Oh, glorious. Like, be like a younger version of Uncle Benny. Oh, fuck. Ah, Iron Man Barrow. Welcome. Margie wants to know why you're sore as well. I would not take the ticket. Yeah, I'd never be able to yeah, same. I'd never and that's why I don't think anything like that would ever happen. Like, it would never be huge. Do you know what I mean? It would never be huge. It would always be like kind of a niche thing, which I like. Do you know, I like niche, but like it would be incredibly cool to like go like like Mr. Beast level mainstream and positively affect like millions of kids around the realm with like a painting show. Like, that'd be the coolest shit ever. In this timeline, that's probably not going to happen. Do you know what I mean? Because the way everything is. But that would be just like that would be beautiful. That would be good, true, and beautiful. If like parents around the realm were sticking on YouTube and sticking PEINTEINGU on, and I was teaching kids how to paint for like, even obviously I wouldn't have to do 2 hours. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna keep kids occupied for that long. Like, do you know what I mean? It'd be like every other TV show. It'd be like 15, 20 minutes, half an hour or something. Like, do something simple, like teach them how to like, shade a sphere or like paint a tree or like anything. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, this is how you paint Iron Man. Oh, like, just simple as shit. Like, and who knows? Like, maybe if I could, like, I've got too much on my mind these days to fucking try and do that as well. But maybe one day I will try and like pivot in that direction to like, reach the youth as well. Kind of like what Owen has been doing the last while with teaching piano. One day I would love to like get to that level where people were like, how did you get that good at painting? Like, teach me and all. And I would be able to actually do that. Like I could do it now. I could get people to where I am, which is like pretty good. But I'm not like a master yet, I don't know if I'll ever be a master. I'll probably always just be like really good, because I just like doing too many different things, Like, I have been thinking a lot about trying to just teach myself basic animation the last while. Like South Park level animation, Just like taking some of my drawings or paintings, taking photos of them, putting them into a computer, like snipping them up and like, tidying them up to make them like stickers or whatever, and then like planting them into like some kind of animation software where I can just like move them around and shit. And make like short cartoon things that would be like really funny. Stuff like Stormfuhrer Pink Boots would be fucking hilarious. So there's an incredible amount of potential with this stream and what I'm doing with my art. Everything from my symmetricals, potentially getting into like contemporary galleries and mainstream galleries, because it's like, I'm not like they're just symmetrical images. You could like it's very subjective. There's a lot of money in that. Even still, with it being like utterly corrupt and corporatized and all that shit, like, and then there's like my merch and shit. Like, you know, it's like even if I only like if I had like a few thousand, not even if I had like 1,000, like a couple of hundred to 1,000 people who were like big fans of what I do and shit, and were regularly buying things, I'd make a totally good living, you know, a very happy living. And I think I'm getting there. I think I am getting there. It won't be too long now before like I'm able to like. We'll see what happens with the big symmetrical. I still have to take nice photos of it. I fucking put the varnish on it there the other day, and it takes like 2 days for the varnish to like completely dry and set. So it's been 3 days now. So, but the weather's been shit. So I haven't been able to take it outside and get like a really nice high quality photo of it. Depending on how the weather holds up on the weekend, and I'm doing the garden again because springtime makes things spring up. Let's see if I can get a decent photo of it, and I'm gonna charge €750 for it because it's like the biggest thing I've done to date, and it's pretty impressive. Like people have literally seen it and been like, "That's incredible looking." So like, that is an indicator that I'm at a stage in my art now where it's like people look at the stuff that I do, like the stuff that I put time into anyway, like, you know, because there's a big difference between doing a PEINTEINGU in 2 hours or 8 hours over the space of a few days or whatever, and like flinging it together out of random shit from a hat. There's a big difference between that and then me taking my time to like really draw something cleanly and professionally and like to a high degree of resolution, and then over days or weeks like paint it and fill it in and color it and like put layers on it and detail and like, you know, render some parts of it and shit and all. Like, I mean, the fact that like people have bought my stuff over the years, like for like, you know, an increasing amount of money, like, you know, it's gone from like my first painting I sold for like 50 quid, and the last symmetrical I sold was like 2 years ago now because I've focused on the stream and merch, but I sold it for like fucking nearly 400 quid, like, you know. And it's those kind of things, like if you've ever considered, like, you know, if you've ever like dreamt of like being something else other than your job, do you know what I mean, like whatever you do for a living, and you have like a hobby that you would love to make a living out of, it's stuff like that like those milestones where like you start to just like objectively look at it and go, yeah, I'm getting good at this, you know. It alleviates a lot of the existential crisis of like, am I good enough kind of thing. It's like you're obviously good enough, you know, for that. So like you just keep working at it and it gets better, like. But anyway, yeah, that's rant over. Why is Desmondu sore? Because he rifts heavy things. I rift heavy things and put them down for fun, hence soreness. So it's been fucking 3 days since I did a workout now. Great shame. Because I'm heavier now though, like I put on like what, nearly 20 pounds or something, or over 20 pounds in the past like month, because I stopped smoking. And I really noticed it when I was doing dips and pull-ups and stuff and all, like, you know, that and the squats, because like I have like a 20 kilo, like 40 pound for Americans, I have like a 40 pound 20 kilo sandbag that I put on my shoulders and then do lunges and squats with and stuff like that. And like I feel heavier, because I am heavier, but like I felt it the last time I was working out. Like I was doing pull-ups and dips and, you know, like underhand for the bicep and pecs, and then like overhand for the back, and then like dip variations of like, you know, straight down dips for the triceps, and then leaning forward into the dips for the pecs and the shoulders. Are you okay? The female is a coughing goo. But it's mad. Yeah, it's mad noticing yourself get like thicker and heavier, and then realizing that like where you used to be able to do like I never go really for like high reps. I always go for like slow, controlled, really difficult stuff, especially with pull-ups and dips and all. Well, like sometimes I only get 5, but it's like, really slow, get into a deep stretch, hang around at the bottom for a while, like maybe 3 seconds sometimes, and then like try and like push yourself up like as quickly and as powerfully as you can, like controlling the negative is like a really good way to like make yourself have like a more palpable mind body connection, is controlling the negative of things. Like if you're doing a bicep curl and as you're letting it go down, you really go slow as you can and really feel the muscle like get taut with the tension and the like filling up with blood, and like like you're tensing it as much as you can and stuff and all, like because like you see like you still see a lot of that, not so much these days, but you see a lot of like gym junkies that are just like just pick it up and move it as many times as you can. Is the muscle sore? Yes, right, stop, right, wait a couple of minutes, right, do it again, like just like squeeze, make muscle big, like pound fucking creatine, all this shit, like, and sure that'll like make you swole, but like I don't want to be swole. I want to be like made of like iron, like like that's the like the martial artist way of you're incredibly strong but also incredibly malleable and like mobile and flexible and incredibly accurate with your movements and stuff, and like every muscle in your body is like active, like the muscles in between the muscles that connect other muscles to joints and stuff, like your spine and your shoulders is so important when it comes to like stuff like kicks and certain kata stances and stuff like that, like especially if you're going to get into the whole like ninjutsu shit where you're like jumping around and flipping and doing like Shaolin style kicks or Taekwondo style kicks or something like that. Like your spinal health is incredibly important because you're going to be twisting and moving and flipping and curling and going back and all this stuff and all, like, so it's not just about lifting heavy shit, like, for me anyway. Like I get where Desmond Sama is coming from, where he's just like, man with big beard move big thing, make good. It is about personal preference. It's like, do you want to just be big and strong and like heavy, which is like incredibly practical for like most things, like, but I've always just loved kung fu and martial arts and stuff like that. So for me, like I like doing all sorts of stuff, like do the qigong, which is basically like a form of tai chi, or yoga even. But it's like very Shaolin-esque, where it's a lot of it's focused on like doing a slightly less intense version of a horse stance, but then I also do the horse stance or the mabu or whatever you want to call it, like so keeping yourself really flexible while also building muscle and also building good technique, so that like like Bruce Lee's like kind of style of like you do weights and you do calisthenics, but you also do like dancing kind of things, like and katas and stuff like that, like I said it to the female before that I'd love to do like salsa or like couples dancing or something like that, because like footwork is incredibly important, and like speed and accuracy and repetition and stuff like that, like, and it is one of those things where like I remember being when I was a younger man I was like, dancing's for fags, like, it's like, no, it's not though. It really isn't. Like dancing is like incredibly taxing on your cardiovascular system and your spinal cord and your micro movements and stuff, in terms of like the the different angles of the ankles and stuff, and wrists and hips, and all of that promotes like incredibly healthy nervous system, incredibly healthy mind body connection, incredibly healthy spinal column, the whole lot, like, you know. So like, and that there's a reason why fighting and dancing are so closely related, like in terms of like, you know, you want to dance, like that kind of thing. It's like, that's what it is at its core. Fighting is masculine dancing, you know, because you think of dancing being like a more feminine thing, where it's like, oh, you let the women dance, you know. Whereas like, if a man can't dance, then he probably can't fight, you know. And that's what I always thought was funny, is like, I was always very stiff and rigid, and I was like, I don't really dance. Like, the only thing I would do is get into a mosh pit, like, you know, and be like this and all, like, but I could fight. But if you're gonna be like a really good fighter, you need to know how to dance, because you need to know how to, like, you know, Muhammad Ali, Bruce Lee, that kind of, like, it's all the rhythmic softness and the speed and accuracy, you know. Because like, you get people like Mike Tyson, where people would look at him and be like, Jesus Christ, you get hit by one of those punches and you're dead. True. And he was quite fast for a big guy, like, you know, he's like, his footwork was great and he was really quick and stuff like that. Like, he was like this wall of muscle that was like still fast and accurate and shit. But that's what made him so dangerous, because he was typically fighting bigger guys, and he was able to get in and around them and like take them down like a tree, you know. When you typically go heavyweight or stuff like that, it's all like, you know, just mass moving, and then whoever connects first gets knocked the fuck out. Like, that's why the more interesting fights typically are the guys who are like medium sized, who need to use an incredible amount of like timing, skill, accuracy, flexibility, all these different things to get past each other's offense and defense in order to land a significant strike. Whereas the heavyweights are just like leaning out of the way, ducking, throwing overhands, like, you know, trying to angle out and shit like that, like using their jab to keep the enemy at a distance and then crack with a fucking straight or some shit. Like, it's fascinating. I could rant about it for hours. You're using Meta every day. Isn't that just Facebook? Ja, Deutsche ist ein wunderschöne Sprache. It is a wonderful language. Is that what that means? If you do a Pharaoh goo, you must change the intro music to Egyptian and walk on screen like a... Yeah, but like, yeah, I do stuff like that for like all of them. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you'd make a pure theme based of like, if I you could do a fucking like I just thought of one there where like you could do like a Russian one, or like a fucking like a Bulgarian one or something as like a vampire, and like, you know, I'd start off like lying down off screen and I'd like rise like coming out of a coffin. It's just, greetings. Like, you want to paint? It'd be like that scene out of Mrs. Doubtfire with Robin Williams where he was like, I do voices. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I could do a great impression of a hot dog. Like, it's all these different like iterations of PEINTEINGU. It'd be so funny. Like, you do like one from Holland where I'm wearing the fucking Lederhosen with the green hat with the feather in it and all. Like, you could hear that I'm wearing wooden clogs or something. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, hello, welcome to PEINTEINGU. Like, you want to learn how to paint? Like, be brilliant. Like, but like, I fucking have got no money and like the ability to buy all these costumes and shit and all. Like, and that's what would really sell it. Would be the combination of the costume, the accent, and then the music I play. That would be like the trinity of like making each different PEINTEINGU really feel like a proper different theme. Like you said, like I'd have to make the intro to the Egyptian one would have to be like, you know, like it'd have to be pure like Punjab and all and Arabic and shit. Like, It'd be fucking hilarious. So I'd rate like the ones I'd start with I'd be like Chinese, German. I'd love to do a Rasta one, but I don't know if I could actually pull it off. What go on, me brother? You know, like you wanna learn how to do the painting, yeah. like, I could I'd have to for some of them, I'd have to like watch like loads of content with that kind of like, you know, the whole real bad man. You know, like I gotta do it like 26 kids or 26 babies. Yeah, what's he say? 26 babies from 24 baby mama. Real bad man. Like, that's one of my favorite accents. Is the Rastas, the Jamaican Rastas, like Rastafari. Fucking that would be a brilliant one, like, and I'd like do a pure like mental abstract looking, like, wouldn't even be that technically good, like, do you know what I mean? You'd just be like, all point to painting, let your soul be free, man. You know, like, don't be worried about making it look good, brother. Like, just make it look funky. Like, just all these bright colours and just make it look as psychedelic as fuck. Like, I'd have to, like, move country for a while and, like, it be legal to, like, smoke a joint while I'm doing it. Like, because that would just complete it. Like, I suppose I could just smoke a big cigarette, you know, but it just wouldn't be the same. You know, like, you'd want to be able to physically see my eyes go all red and puffy while I get like blazed out of my head while I'm doing it. Like, oh, it'd be fucking brilliant. Oh, okay. The white mountains in background has potential for future landscaping paintings. Yeah, I'm all right at them now. Like, I don't do them often, but they're piss easy. They're piss easy to do. The whole snowy mountain caps, just with a dark shade of blue and shit. Like, I could probably do a decent landscape painting right now, where I'm at. Like, you know, the mountains and the like, I'm good at doing grass, I'm good at doing trees, I'm good at doing mountains and stuff like that. Water's still a bit of a depending on what kind of water and what shape it's taking and where it's going and what it's going around. But yeah, like, I'm at the stage now where I could, which is hilarious. Like, the fact that doing this stream for 2 hours a day, like, for over a year, for like, I've been doing it every day pretty much for like definitely over a year now. And before that, I did like a year of just doing it every Friday. And I didn't think I did it for that long when I was just doing it every Friday, to be honest. But I had like nearly 50 episodes or some shit like that. Of just me doing PEINTEINGU every Friday. It's 10 p.m. Let's fucking go. And like, and I didn't used to do the whole welcome to PEINTEINGU. It was like totally different. Totally, like, when I like, because I've been going back and watching some of the old ones because I'm like fixing them and putting them in order and shit. And it's wild. It's wild seeing the difference. Absolutely wild seeing the difference. And it's only been a few years. Like, so God only knows what this is going to be like in 10 years. Or 7 years or whatever, you know. I kind of made like a weird, well, I wouldn't describe it as weird, but like I kind of made like a vague pact with myself the other day. Where I was like, for the next 7 years. Don't know why, like, don't ask me why I picked 7. It just came into my mind, but like, for the next 7 years, I'm gonna try and just like balls to the wall, cause like the last few years I've been suffering from like fatigue. I've burnt myself out a few times, and like when I moved here, I was still like getting over a lot of stuff. Like, I've done a lot of healing the past few years. A lot, like a fuck ton. I've done a lot of healing and growing the past few years, mentally and spiritually. And now I think now's a good time to, like, you know, start pushing myself, to like achieve some form, not, well, I want to say greatness, do you know what I mean? Like, and not greatness because I want to be like great because I want to own a Lamborghini or anything, but like great because I want to like do great things, you know? I mean, it's good to do good, but it's great to do great, you know, like, so. But there is a level of, like Owen's dead right about that, that there's a level of pain and trauma that comes with being great that people don't understand. Like, I understand. I understand what it takes. And I've, like, kind of shied away from it the last few years because I'm like, oh, I'm too tired and I don't have the energy and I'm doing too much and blah, blah. And all that is just me talking myself down. You know, it's like a leftover, I think it's a leftover thing from my childhood where, like, I never thought I was good enough kind of thing. And that's what the last, like, few years I've, like, literally proven to myself multiple times that I'm, like, more than good enough to do this sort of stuff. So now, like, I'm at a stage where I'm like, all right, well, let's see how far we can go with this. Like, let's see how far we can take it. But I need to do it in a wise manner. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't want to fucking, like, spiral upwards for a while and then, like, you know, fucking crash out and burn and shit like that. Like, I want it to be, like, my dream would be, like, when I'm an old man and reaching my end, that my legacy is, like, very positive. You know, I want a positive legacy. I want people to talk about me and my work in the sense that it had a positive impact on people's lives. You know, like, controversial, sure, maybe. Like, I don't really care about controversy. Like, I don't care about making, like, I do and I don't care about making a cultural impact, like, you know, but the only kind of cultural impact that I want to make is positive. I don't think I'm, I don't think I have a good heart and stuff like that, but I also have, like, an incredibly dark side to me, and sometimes I think that, like, you know, I don't know if I'm ever going to truly get rid of that part or grow out of that part. I think that is, like, genuinely a part of me, like, whether it be like like a celestial decision or whatever, like, you know, because I'm like a Scorpio or some shit. I don't fucking know. Like, there is, like, a murderous, violent side to me that isn't fit for, like, you know, cultural impact. I think, anyway. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's gonna come a day where, like, somebody like me is, like, totally needed or some shit. I don't know. Like, you know, like, turning around and saying to thousands of people, like, kidnap the women and children and glass the place. It's like, do you know what? That's probably where we're at. Like, like, I don't know. I haven't a clue. I just, like, I'm just me, you know. I just learned a lot from watching Owen, and learned a lot from going my own path, away from my friends and away from my family, after a lot of trauma. And, like, and then from watching, like, people like Vox and watching people like Christopher Gardner, like, you know, learning, like, things like the Universe podcast and stuff like that, like, really learning about, like, what we collectively have learned throughout the years is, like, what this place is, why it is, how it is, how you should conduct yourself every day in life. Bye, my love. Have a good day. Love you. Because it's incredibly important, you know. It's, like, one of those things that's, like, if I'm going to be of use to people, if I'm going to serve people, I think it's, like, I can make people laugh. That's an incredibly powerful thing. I'm good with my words. You know, I can get people fired up and get people thinking about stuff and all, like. But the thing is like, growing as a person and not losing sight of the things that, like, it's like you don't want to grow into what you think you should grow into. You want to stay you and just level up from there, you know? You don't want to be like, I want to be like this person or I want to be like that person too much, because then you'll grow into something that you are not, you know. You'll grow into something that you think you should be. And that's another hole, another like pit that you can get yourself into. Part of me for a while thought I was doing it with this, you know. It's like, do I really want to do a fucking stream all the time? Is this what I want to do? And it's like, I think so. I'm pretty sure. Because, like, I really enjoy doing this. I enjoy talking. I enjoy hanging out with people. I enjoy entertaining people, making people laugh, and doing all this shit. But it's like balancing that between doing the other stuff as well. Like, you know, that's what, like last week I only did 2 PEINTEINGUs, which for God knows how long is like, that wasn't a thing. Like, you know, doing it every day, like. But I didn't have anything going on this week, thankfully, because I wanted to get back into doing PEINTEINGU. Because I like the idea of me being a morning irreverent radio show kind of thing for like a lot of Americans and some Irish people is hilarious to me. Like, and I love it, you know. And that's the energy that works, is like if you really love what you're doing, then like people can feel it and it's communicated in through your work and your words and stuff and your visual image, you know. Just like the days like yesterday where I'm like, oh, it's just one of those days, I feel like shit, like, do you know what I mean? And then like some of you relate and are like, yeah, well, whatever, and then there's a conversation about that. It's the same when I have like a really fiery episode of PEINTEINGU where, like, you know, I stay in character for like the whole 2 hours and all this fucking shit. Like, I think that's one of the things that's great about this stream, is it's like between the map and the hat and me and how I am, you never know what you're going to get, but you do. You know, it's like paradoxical, where it's like PEINTEINGU is always the same, but it's not. Like, and I love that. I think that's incredibly powerful, you know. I've looked at myself objectively the past few years and I've been like, I've been given an incredible amount of like gifts, and like I would be a total like loser dickhead if I was to just like waste them. And I think my grandmother would be very angry with me, you know, like. And I still do have an incredible amount of love for that woman. But like I did when she was here in the realm, she was like the matriarch of the family, like, you know, like I was the first grandson and all that shit. So like I had a very deep love, and still do, for my grandmother, and I think about her quite often. And that's like a big thing for me, like, is the idea of like her watching me and me desperately not wanting to let her down. Now, at the same time, because of the type of love that she had for me, it's like I don't think I could let her down. I'd have to do something like totally woeful, like, do you know what I mean? Like, she was one of those grandparents that, like, even if I brutally murdered a family of like, you know, a family of 10 or something, like, she'd probably still visit me in prison and bring me like a prepared lunch or something, like, do you know what I mean? Like, she's that kind of person, like, which is one of the reasons I miss her. But yeah, I mean, like, we'll see how this goes over the years, you know. It's changed a lot already. It's in the last few years, it's changed a lot. And I'm excited and interested to see how it goes and so on and so forth. But I have to a degree, take it seriously, like, do you know what I mean? Because it's like one of the many ways that I earn a living is like you guys giving me super chats and buying paintings from me and stuff. And then there's like my symmetricals, and then the character design stuff and the merch and shit like that and all, like. But I'm confident. I am confident. I get frustrated because it is hard. It's not easy. It's quite difficult. It's fun, but it's difficult. But I do get frustrated because it's like most of the time, especially because I'm in the early stages of, like, you know, building what I'm building. I make fuck all money for a lot of work, you know, which is funny because like one of the things that I hated about having a normal job was like I do all this shit and I get paid this much and I get treated like this. Are you fucking serious? But the difference being now with this stuff is that like it's all on me, and I'm okay with that, you know, because I prefer that. It's like, well, if I don't do it, then it won't happen. But if I do it, it will happen. So it's fascinating. It's a fascinating little adventure that I've decided to go on the last few years. And I really appreciate you people. I'm not going to name names because people will get jealous of other people and shit like that. But like, you know who you are, you know, if like I don't have to be like this person and this person or whatever, like, but like the people in general in my life the last few years who have like stuck with me and supported me and stuff like that, like I really fucking appreciate it, like seeing people like want me to do well and like supporting me and shit like is another one of those indicators of like, okay, no, I should do this because people literally want me to do this and they like it. No, like I'm not being selfish. I'm not being like, you know, I want to be this and like trying to force the matter. People really like it and people really enjoy it and people want more of it, and people want to see where it goes, and I do too. So like, even though like last week I only did 2 painting goos, it's like, well, hopefully that's going to be a rarity. Hopefully that's going to be like a totally irregular thing, you know, where it's just like I just had too much on. I had I had a meeting here, I had to do this, I had to do that, and so on and so forth. Like, I do, my preferred default state is to do painting goo every day, Monday to Monday to Friday, even if I have to change the time depending on how things go or something like that. Like, but I love doing this and I love you guys, and so far it's been like a fucking intense, hilarious ride. So I can only imagine where it's gonna go from here. Like, when we come up with stuff like fucking Stormfuhrer pink boots and fucking like, you know, a chessboard with a lot of pigs, like one of them dressed as a bishop with a flamethrower and shit, like, you know, and Doom Piggy and shit, like, or Xenoboon or whatever. Like, there's far too much potential here for years and years of like entertainment and laughter and like amazing character design and all this shit. And it's not just me, like it's you guys too, like, you know, which is like really one of the good, true, beautiful things that I find about not only the bear community but like our little Japanite clan that we have going the past year, like fucking 20 of us or something, like, you know, it's like I love it. I genuinely love it, and I love you guys, and I love doing this, and I don't plan on stopping at all. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't plan on, like, the last week and when I turned around in the last week and was like, oh, like, you know, I'm not going to be able to do painting goo as much and blah blah. Like, you know, it's like, I'll like, even if it's only 1 painting goo a week, depending on how busy I am or what I have to do in terms of like other avenues of my art and like what I have to focus on at different times, I'll always at least do 1 painting goo a week, at least. And even if like if it is only 1 painting goo, I'll probably force myself to do like, you know, a fucking 5-hour goo or some shit like that, like. Because it's not just that I like doing it, it's like I like interacting with you guys, you know. You guys make me laugh. It's one of the reasons I love doing this stream, is like you guys make me laugh. We have a good laugh here. We have a good vibe here. It's not serious, you know, so it's a good deviation from like the everyday mundane fucking like, oh, World War III fucking blah blah blah. Like, you know, it's like, I don't think the grid is going to go down. I don't think there's going to be like a huge fucking... I think it's going to be hilarious over the next like 10 years. I think we're going to be watching people place bets on how many bots fucking Russia... on how many American bots Russia takes out
over the weekend. Like, you know, I think that's where it's headed. Is people like companies like Betfair and, you know, all the shit, like the betting agencies are going to be placing bets on how many American or Russian or Chinese robots get destroyed in a particular planned event. You know, I think that's where we're headed. It's gonna be like the UFC on fucking acid. You know, on the 17th of June, Russia, China, and America are going to face off in the, you know, in some peninsula somewhere, or like some fucking blasted desert, like the formerly known as Israel, now the dead zone. Like just like Israel's just gone, and you know, it's just this blasted wilderness with sand and rubble. Not that would be much of a change, but like, and it's just where everybody like brings their robots to like fuck each other up. Like, I think genuinely think we're headed in that kind of direction. But anyway, still more red than black defender. I just took a pic of you. Yeah, I've always been more of a redhead than a nigger, but like, oh, you mean your black eye? Sorry, I thought you were talking about me. You're still more red than black. Let me see. Okay, yeah. Well, you didn't. Yeah, it's not that bad. That's all. It's like, yeah, it's not that bad. You'll be fine. You'll be fine in about a week or two. Just make sure you drink plenty of water. Keep moving. Get up and move around every day for a while. But be careful, for Christ's sake. You must be mindful of yourself, Margie. You are very important to the Japanite clan. And we can't have you tripping and falling and smacking your head off a piano and leaving us all in the wind. We would be incredibly sad. People who say dancing is gay are shite at dancing. I know this because I'm shite at dancing. Yeah, like, I'm not shit at dancing, but it's kind of similar to, like, you know, my personality and, like, you know, my art style and stuff like that, where it's like I can move because of my martial arts training and stuff, but like I'm kind of like a child in that, like, these like socially acceptable forms of dancing that are like cool, hip, and sexy are like not at all what I'm into. Do you know what I mean? Like the fucking like I'd be like moving around like fucking. I don't give a fuck, like, you know, and I quite often embarrass the living fuck out of the female. I've been loving those AI Rasta videos on YouTube. The Avenger one is boss. AI Rasta videos on YouTube? I don't know what you're talking about. I'm thoroughly intrigued though. Between the bears and Japanites, you guys have given me much faith and hope. Ah, well. It's one of the main things about why I've kept doing this is, like, you know, Owen's streams like max out at, like, you know, I think he used to do, some of them used to be nearly 4 hours or something, like, but Owen usually maxes out around 2.5 hours. And most people's working day is like at least 8. So the way I figured it was like, well, if I could keep you busy in the mornings or leading up to lunchtime or something like that for like 2 hours, and then you know, Owen comes on in the evenings or whatever like that, like, that's at least half the day covered with, like, you know, having a laugh, talking honestly, having like an honest vibe, and so on and so forth. And like there are more streams like popping up like all the time. Like there's loads of podcasts that I watch now that are genuinely like informative and like positive and like speaking truth and all this shit. So the tide has turned. But the interesting thing about the tide turning now is like we're not as inundated with a bunch of lies and obfuscation as we used to be. Now the battle has begun, you know. We have like we've begun this the last like I'd say ballpark like 5 years. Um, we have entered into the time of like the good and the bad are like gonna start like fighting it out, culturally and physically, and good always wins. It's just a matter of time. Um, Even if like most people lose faith and enter into a form of despair and stuff like that, and all like, um, I th- the funny thing is like I think the more intense and the worse it gets is when people like us like band together and Scouseboro, welcome. Because like when you look at COVID, right? Like when COVID kicked off, that's when the Irish Bears had like the most meetups, and there was like fucking 60 of us until all that shit went down with like the Trinity and then like that Buzzwrecker guy and all trying to be a manipulative little shit. It was it's I look at all of that, and the lesson that taught me is like in times of stress, like very high stress, people choose good. It may be like a small group, but people choose good and they seek good out and they do good to make up for how shit everything is. So like I have faith in humanity. I have faith in people. That doesn't mean that I still don't get frustrated and annoyed and like I see something abhorrent and I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like goddamn clown demons. But I think I'm slowly getting to the stage now where like between like leveling up myself and like having experienced all this for several years now, considering I'm turning 34 and like where I've come from, like like a traumatized divorced household and all this shit, like I'm a millennial. I'm blessed. I've done pretty well and I'm blessed, and it's not about the money, it's about who you are and what you're capable of, like really, in any given moment and shit, like, and I've proved that I'm adaptable, resilient, good-hearted. I have a strong sense of honor and a want to do good and be loyal and all these things and all. Like I am a good guy, like I'm one of the good guys. I've chosen to be one of the good guys, and I feel like I belong on the side of good. There is still a small part of me that would like, I think I said this before. It's like sometimes there's like, and it's not like seldom. It's like often enough. There's a side of me that like does kind of pine for like, yeah, but it'd be really fun to be a bad guy for a while. And like, yeah, it probably would. Like, do you know what I mean? Like that is the appeal overall, I think, of like, more money than you could possibly spend, although people find ways to spend it. So I don't think that saying's actually true. It's like millions and millions and millions and millions. And then like, all the women and the cars and the going to extravagant places and buildings and being surrounded by like, these like people with grand titles, like, fucking licking you like demons and stuff and all, like, and wanting your attention and like having thousands of people like, roar your name and like take pictures of you and you're in the news and all this stuff. Like, there is obviously an appeal to it because so many people like go that direction and have gone that direction and want still, despite the evidence, want to go that direction and so on and so forth. Like, like I get it. I totally get the appeal, but it's hollow. Do you know? Like, cause it's not real. It's like totally fake. Like, cause I know what real is. In the sense of like, I know what people are really like at their core every day, just like day to day, mundane, being, and like we're still animals in a lot of ways, and like what people generally care most about is being liked, finding a loved one, having enough resources to like live, you know, and do some nice things now and again. And it's like that stuff is very simple and fundamental and fairly easily achieved. All it requires is like, you know, a positive mindset and some discipline, you know, which is what is so beautifully, like divinely sophisticated and simple at the same time. And as I said that, the sun came out. Fuck. I'm not even arse changing the light constantly changes in here, so like, you know, whatever. It does. I think it's kind of funny that I'm like pretending I'm LARPing as a demigod, and like the last while the glorious light of heaven shines brightly upon my face and beard. And I like being like people being able to see the PEINTEINGU in its fullness, you know. So even though when I look at the screen I'm like, Jesus Christ, half of my face is like washed out because I'm so pale. It's like whatever. The beautiful simplicity yet sophistication of like that's what life is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be easy. Far from it, but like it's supposed to be joyful. You're supposed to enjoy life. Like that's what life is for. Like, you're supposed to put the work in. You're supposed to reap the benefits of like the work you put in. It's supposed to be joyful. And it's like very funny when you've spent like 15 years being miserable most of the time. And then and then you make the change and it switches up, and you look at people who are like still in that mindset of like, you know, oh, fucking everyday slog and life, and oh, Putin's such a bad man and all this shit, like, and people who are still wrapped up in the lie, the show, you know. And it's just funny to me now, you know. Like I think I am starting to get over my savior complex, where like I have accepted now that like because everybody has free will, that's like you can't force, or like you can influence, you know, but like you can't will somebody into doing something that's against their will, which is fascinating, you know, when you think about it, and it makes so much sense. But it is one of those things that's very frustrating as a person with like empathy and a want for people to like, you know, be in a good mood and like be happy and shit like that. When you see them behaving in a manner that you know is only going to make it worse for them. And then like, you know, as I say that, it's like it's like being a father, you know. It's like being a father. It's like looking at a child behave in a certain manner, and you're like, you know, I told you that it happened, and look at you now. Like, you know what I mean? It's like it requires a lot of training and strength and wisdom and like a calm demeanor, to look at situations play out with stuff that you care about, and just accept it for what it is and be like, yeah, that's okay. Instead of getting wrapped up in the emotion and the ego of it all, and be like, I don't like that, like it's supposed to be this and blah blah, like, you know, it's childish. It's very childish. But like most of us don't realize that, like, do you know what I mean? Like most of us who are alive now, especially people my age, like millennials, like, do you know what I mean? It's like the world is so blatantly unfair in an even greater sense than it is naturally. Like, you know, like the world, like life isn't fair fundamentally. Well, it is and it isn't. Like, do you know what I mean? Like when you think about it, like in a meta, like cosmic sense, everything is like it's fair because everything's based on choice. But in terms of like society and where we're at now, it's like grow up, go to school, then go to college, then get a good job, then get a mortgage and have a family and 2 cars and the white picket fence with the dog and the fucking blah blah. It's like our generation got sold this blatant lie and then got gaslit for years about, like, why don't you have your shit together? Why don't you have a load of money? And why aren't you in a load of debt? And why aren't you, like, when I was your age, I this. When I was your age, I that, and all, like, and this psychological abuse, whether it be intentional or not, that people my age, from my generation, like, have pretty much had to just, like, ironically grit and bear, like the boomers would tell us to do. It's like, you just gotta fucking grit your teeth and push through it and all. It's like, well, we did, and, like, like, the only thing we have to show for it really is, like, an incredible ability to adapt and be resilient, which I suppose is, like, a blessing, but, like, only if you look at it like that. Most millennials are, like, depressed, nihilistic, all this shit. The newer generations coming up are, like, eager. They're optimistic. They're learning the right stuff, like that like adage of, like, weak times make strong men make weak times, so on and so forth. It's happening, like, every aspect of our existence is happening at a greater pace now, because everything is accelerated through technology. So we're starting to see now that instead of a generation being like 20 or 30 years apart, generations are only 10 years apart. Because a 10-year-old, like, for the past 10 to 15 years, 10-year-olds get exposed to, like, porn and stuff quite early. Whereas, like, in the 90s or the early 2000s, it was more like teenagers, and then before that, like, it was even like, there was a time a couple of hundred years ago where, like, 2 16-year-olds might actually start a family, but that's because one of them already owns a business, and they get married really early and shit, like, and it was more like it worked back then. Like, Owen Benjamin spoke about that before a few times, where it's like, in the context of the era, young people, like there used to be 11-year-olds in the military, like, giving orders to, like, 30-year-olds and shit. Like, used to have, like China used to have child emperors, like, because they were a representation of, like, innocence and divinity and all this shit. Like, it's fascinating how things have changed. Where on the one hand, like, you used to have a culture that would be like, the golden child. It's like, you do realize this guy, this is like an 8-year-old. Yes, but he is the emperor of all of China. Like, what I mean? It's like a fucking 8-year-old. It's like, yes, bow before him, like, and all the decadence and the majesty and all this shit. It's all like a fucking child is on the throne, like, And now we're at a stage where, like, at least in the West, as far as we're aware, probably in the East too, because of how dark the East can be in its own right, like, you have fucking babies being harvested for fucking parts, like, before they're even finished growing or before they're even born, or they get born and then they get harvested for parts anyway. So we live in this incredibly fucked up, inverted, dark time, but at the same time, people have realized that we live in an incredibly fucked up, dark time, and have actively made the choice to, like, no, things shouldn't be like this, things should be better, and, like, things are starting to change. But that's the clash is coming. The clash of the titans of industry, the titans of culture, the titans of, the metaphorical and figurative titans are about to clash in the next 10 to 20 years, from what I can tell. Where you will have these, like, these massive industries clashing with, like, people who have amassed, like, a huge following of real people for real reasons, because they do real stuff. So like you'll have the Bezos type who has an army of robots at his disposal, and then you'll have people like Owen Benjamin or Chris Gardner or Tom Barnett, or maybe not Tom. I think he's kind of stepped away by the looks of it, like from kind of like being the head of something. I could be wrong. I'm not really keeping in the loop with that shit. But you see where I'm going. Where like you'll have a figurehead and a community of like thousands of real people doing real shit with real connections, with real thought processes and a moral code and all this shit. And then you'll have one guy who owns like a whole monopolized industry that grants him an incredible amount of like resources and clout and power in certain regards and stuff, but it's just one man, you know. And like those polarized ways of living are gonna clash, and it's gonna be like insane. It's gonna be insane. It already is insane. Be in the world but not of it. Yeah, I'm very etheric. I am very etheric. A lot, like most of the time. Do you know what I mean? Like to the point where like in a lot of ways the female doesn't relate to how I behave or think, you know, because I'm so like whimsical and magical in my thinking and stuff and all. Like it's hilarious. But there's moments like, you know, where when we went to that gallery exposition there last week, and we had a great conversation with a couple there. We had a great time, like, there was a moment where, like, you know, the wine and the food was like doled out and stuff. And it was a small gallery; it wasn't a big thing, but it was very nice. It was very nice, and it was very atypical because it was like all the art was very like abstract. I'll just use those words, like the type of thing you look at and you're like, what the fuck? You know, like, but still, it was the vibe. And your one who owns the gallery is like an absolute fucking, like a wonderful human being. But there came a moment where, like, you know, the female was like, oh, I didn't expect like all of this, like, you know. I kind of looked, I turned to her and I was just like, oh, so do you like me being an artist now? Do you like, are you getting the vibe now? Like, you know, fucking, because because she's, you know, she's very female in that regards, in that regard, where it's like, you know, she likes the finer, like I'm like that as well. Like I like the finer things in life. That's why I could see myself being more similar to Vox than Owen in terms of like having a community and like a following and like fans and of my work, you know, not just of me or how I think or whatever like that. Like, but I'd be like a midway between Vox and Owen, where like I like the finer things in life and I want to do something that lasts hundreds if not thousands of years, you know, in terms of like making art or the book or something like that. Like, and I do lean more into the sophisticated philosophical intellectual vibe, because like I could see myself sitting down with a room of people who are more intelligent and more educated than I am and just like soaking it in, whereas Owen is more of like, you know, the physical, the fucking like, I'm gonna make a fence, like, you know, I'm going to do this whole fence line in like 3 days or something. Like, you know, I'm going to learn how to do this. I'm going to teach myself how to do this. I'm going to do this. And he's like a doer. He's very more physical. I'm like a halfway point between the two of them, where like I do shit, you know, I'm very physical every day. But then in the evenings, it's like I switch up and I turn into like very mental and very etheric and very philosophical and stuff and all, like, and I love cooking. Do you know what I mean? Like Amy would be the one that cooks all the food for Owen and then like makes some cookies and shit and gets some fat and all, like, whereas like I do the majority of the cooking. I love cooking. I like wine. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like I'm more of a fag than Owen is. You know, like in that sense. Like I like fine wine and like, you know, like I could see myself like actually dressing like a Jap. You know, and like fine silks and like really nice cotton socks. Like, just like have lavender incense burning in the house and shit. Like, should I be like, why not? Like, you know, The whole point of living is to live well, you know. Ugh. Everyone used to have horses and cars were expensive. Now cars are 10 a penny and horses are expensive. Yeah, I know. The way it flips is fucking hilarious. That's what I think is funny. Is like, in the beginning of it, like, I'll probably make like just enough money off of this stream to keep the internet going, typically, right? And then somebody buys a painting or commissions a painting every now and again, like, and then probably 10 years from now, like, I probably won't be able to keep up with like what people want and like how much money this fucking thing makes and all this shit. Like, it's gonna be mad. Anyway, I'm gonna stick some tunes on. I need to drain the dragon and then we'll get gooing. I love cooking and I make fine wine. I burn incense too. I love that shit. I love lavender and citrus incense, and I love cooking. I really enjoy cooking, especially when I have like nice ingredients, like fresh vegetables, fresh meats and stuff like that, like high quality meats. I love preparing food, like chopping and peeling and seasoning and salting and all this stuff. And then like my favorite form of cooking is to like do a lot of preparation and then slap it all together in the dish and then fucking in the oven and then have to check on it now and again or something. Like, that's like, I think so far that's like my favorite form of cooking. Right, I will return in a moment. I must drain the dragon. Vandera. Oh, the relief of draining the dragon. Sweet relief. Painting, goo, goo, goo. We've already been here an hour and 20 minutes, actually, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to announce today's phrase of the day, and then we will pray the tunes and get going. Right. Tobias, my feathery friend, shall announce today's phrase of the day. I send cleansing vibrations through the interwebs to you filthy mortals, to cleanse your dirty chi. Let's fix Micah. Right. Your house must smell amazing all the time, Margie. Sometimes. Sometimes it smells like dank leather and horsewhips. And gunpowder. Although the smell of gunpowder is probably really nice. Tinkerbell reminds me of me with my hair and a ponytail, and I always wore dresses. Ah, glorious. I have inadvertently reminded you of your former self. Excellent. Right, today's phrase of the day. Western Jesus, walk on water. Eastern Jesus, walk on fire. Very simple, very funny. Very simple. And good and excellent. Western Jesus, walk on water. Apparently he did. Eastern Jesus, walk on fire. That's just funny. Walks tend to be on fire. And I can imagine that Jesus was a pretty good cook. If Jesus couldn't cook, then I think the Bible has fared us all. I posted the last Avengers vid in the goo chat for you, Defenderoo. Ah, excellent. Glorious. Domo. Avengers. 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 The Brothers of Avenger. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. Right. I will check that out after the streamu. Right. Engage tunes and what be yes, much weaponry is to be laid out for Tinkerbell. I have decided I'm going to put the wig on the giant kraken thing. I do believe giving it a top knot would be hilarious. So that's what we're going. Or maybe a Paul Phoenix style hairdo. Anyway, we shall see. Ugh. Right. Remember to smash that like button like it has insulted your ancestors, huh? Leave a comment. Tell the other filthy mortals how much you love the PEINTEINGU. If you cannot pay for PEINTEINGU, the least you could do is commentu. Excuse me, Micah. Right, I place my royal rag on my divine knee in preparation for the goo. And I place goo upon the parrot. What goo? What goo do I need to do? Yes. We'll do a basic parrot. Get some browns. Grey, black, so on and so forth. I have heard that a nice bright grey is achieved using orange. So perhaps today I will experiment with this. Right, we get some permanent scarlet. Some ultramarine brew. Yes, that video you shared, Stabro-sama, the Rast Church. Very good. Very entertaining. Oh. Sumimasen. Sumimasen. Apfer. Goo, 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 goo. Right, we have yarrow, we have brew, we have red, we have whiter and blacker. We can do pretty much all we need to go with that basic parrot. Now, for a few squirts from my tiny mister to around the goo to throw freely. And to prevent it from drying too quickly. Must shake the black and the white. They are heavily pigmented. They have been watered down. So you must shake it. You must shake it. I need someone to get me a cup of coffee. You can do it yourself, Margio. Come now, you're not too old. Used to be a cowgirl. Now you're a coffee girl. Excellent. That's what I want to hear. Get up, move around, stay hearty, and avoid the piano. Right, where are my bitches? Let's get them wet. This one. We'll do the skinny one. I'm going to provide Tinkerbell with... Actually, we'll do the wig on the Kraken first. Do the wig on the Kraken first. Get it out of the way. I will leave it to a vote. Do we give it the same hair as poor Phoenix from Tekken? Or do we give it a top knot? I will wait. But I will not wait too long. Ah, glorious Java. Emmanuel Gotsunu is painting a sad fairy today. Why? Why a sad fairy, Emmanuel? Why would you do such a thing? Why would you paint a sad fairy? You diabolical man. Why are you painting a fairy at all? Aren't you supposed to be painting a dead gay unicorn? I love that painting group. Ah, Dick Fordu! Welcome. How are you, Dick Fordu? Are you well? Oh shit, I dropped the bitch. Right, top knot it is. I gave you all a chance. And none of you answered me. I must fix Micah. Alright, if I'm going to be here, where would I put Micah? It's all about angers. It's all about angers. Because the rainbow unicorn died of AIDS. He's a very sad fairy. Is the fairy in the same painting? I thought the rainbow unicorn died of monkeypox. It's like it was both. It died of AIDS in its ass and monkeypox in its face. It was a double whammy of gayness. What did you ask? What was about? Ah, the what kind of hair? What kind of wig? Where I put on the Kraken demon monster thingy. No matter. It's getting a top knot. see.
Painting goo goo. Goo 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 goo. Goo 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 goo. Goo goo.
I love these playlists. It is a Japanese kraken. Glorious. Yarrowig mocking Tinkerbell. I knew he'd go for Brack. Oh, that's not the wig. It is a wig. It is a top knot wig. A top wig.
Painting goo goo goo. Painting goo goo goo. Painting goo goo. Painting goo.
The terrible Krakenese. Like when you turn 30 and your knees begin to crack. The terrible Krakenese. Going to make weapon rack.
Painting goo goo. Goo 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 goo. Goo 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 goo. Goo 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 goo.
order to make fresh color for Tinkerbell, start with white, a tiny bit of red, get that pink going, and a tiny bit of yellow. The yellow is transparent, so you will need more yellow than the red or the white. But this depends on the pigmentation of your particular paints. The scarlet red is particularly powerful. Can be hard to manage. Just a dash of it can drastically change the color of your paint. We are close. Very close. Not quite tan. Just paler. Paler than tan. Color of white sand. Another ray of green on the dress. Right. A dash of yellow. A tiny smidge of ultramarine blue. Fascinating to me how you get different greens depending on the brew and the yellow. Ultramarine brew does not lend itself to vibrant, bright greens. Where is it? Sky brew used to be the one I used, but I don't believe I have any Sky brew left. I believe turquoise would probably do it. Maybe brew Compros. Maybe. So many colors. They say you can mix any color you require or desire from the basic palette. This is a rye. This is a profound, egregious rye. Technically, you can get green, purple, orange, so on and so forth. But it's the hue and the shade, or the particular, if you want a vibrant green, which I do love. You need a bright brew and a yarrow. Ultramarine is too dark, too deep. Right. See how we go with turquoise. That's quite a rich green. That's not bad at all. It's not exactly what I was looking for, but yes, nice. It's a bit darker than what I wanted. Not bad. Not bad at all. Right, let's make her hair a bit more fuller. Tiny bit of orange. Tiny bit. That is a vibrant orange. That is a vibrant orange. Glorious. Put yarrow back over this. See what happens. Painting, goo goo goo. Painting. Goo, 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 goo. Right, make some wood core. Get some weapons going. Or we could just do some solid steel weaponry too. Now that we have our orange, I shall make some grey and test that theory. Get some whiter. Get some black. We'll use some of that orange. Painting goo goo. That is an interesting grey. That is a nice grey. It's quite bright. Right, let me see. Do a batter axe. Sword. Painting goo goo goo. Right. Whilst they are drying, I will put the yarrow back in her hara. We can make this a bit brighter, couldn't we? Yes, gorgeous. The position of Tinkerbell in relation to the grindstone is just making me laugh constantly. Every time I look at the fact that she is standing over here and using a grindstone that is like 6 feet behind her to the right. Very funny. Proper placement is not one of the P's of PEINTEINGU. Who cares where it goes? Does it look good? Is it funny? Is it a kraken with a top knot? That's all that matters. Right, Tinkerbell needs an inquisitive look on her face. I will need a much more accurate bitch to achieve this. Painting goo 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 goo. Painting goo 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 goo. Paint paint! Give her little door shoes. Ballerina slippers. That's what fairies typically wear, isn't it? Ha! Painting goo, 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 goo. Oh! すみません。すみません。すみません。Ah, excellent. Right, let me see. Trying to decide what to do with this section here. This large section that I used to correct the initial placement of Tinkerbell. According to Ozzy Osbourne, fairies wear boots. Ozzy probably sees a lot of fairies in his head. Still, to this day, many fairies.
Painting. Painting.
Methinks some kind of carpet, with many weapons rayed out upon it. And part of me thinks I could just reave it like that, because it looks like some kind of tarp. Scimitar here. Axe here. Kind of mace.
Painting. Goo, 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 goo.
I've always liked morning stars. Terrifying weapon. Brutally efficient. Scissors. For her hair, not for battle. Right. Right. We'll leave it there. Don't want to put too much in. There's already like a rut going on. Big cracking mountains, rake, lots of grass, grindstone, Tinkerbell. The wig is on the kraken. Leave it there. And tomorrow's goo will be a new painting goo. The rest of the current hat road. The current road in the hat will be the rest of it. Glorious. Right, let's sign this bitch. This concludes our adventure aid to Kazakhstan, where a Japanese kraken has emerged from this beautiful mountainside rake, and little to its knowing, Tinkerbell has been awaiting its arrival, sharpening many weapons in preparation for battle with this kraken. Glorious. Right, my beloved Japanita, that is all I have time for today. This concludes this painting goo in Kazakhstan. Tomorrow, we shall embark on a new adventure, where the hat will take us, nobody knows. On the map. The hat doesn't take us anywhere, it's the map. Never mind. Right, you know the drill. Remember to smash that like button like it has insulted your ancestors. If you cannot pay for painting goo, then comment on painting goo. We need the rest of the realm to realize how amazing painting goo is. I shall return same timer, same pricer, same high-octane painting goo energy. Tomorrow, 3 p.m. GMT. Be there, or you will bring shame upon you and your family. In the meantime, be good, be true, and be beautiful. And I will see you in the morrow. Sayonara, my beloved Japanita.